going to be all internal, so I did not include all that. So, for a start, we have both academics and non-academic in this room right now. Okay, and because of that, I thought maybe we will start with all of you, not select, every single one of you introducing yourself and your involvement in micro-credentials, the courses that you're doing for micro-credentials, either this term, previous term, and whatnot. Okay, these two information. Now, if you're not involved in micro-credentials, just say that you're not involved in any micro-credentials. That means none of your courses have been designated as a micro-credential. All right? We'll start from this table here. Just introduce yourself and courses that you're doing under micro-credential. Any of your courses that are offered under micro-credential.
Micro-credentials for master level, ENG 543, corporate governance and ethics. So far.
Thank you.
I'm still new, so this is the first time I'm exposed to it.
All right, so you know nothing about micro-credentials. Good.
For mine is, I'm doing the BC program for BDBS, micro-credentials.
So you are involved in the micro-credential, the offering of micro-credential itself. Okay. The other table.
Hi, I'm Lydia. I'm from qualification. Now it's class. So I'm involved in the request.
So that's Lydia, for those who have not met her.
Hi, I'm Lilian from SBA. Micro-credential courses is physical marketing, business ethics, and marketing management and postgraduate.
Right, next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Charlotte from SBA. Newly joined and still learning.
Okay, so you don't have any courses under micro-credentials at the moment, no?
Good morning, I'm Leo from SBA. So I think micro-credential is also new to me, but would under some micro-credential courses.
All right, all right.
Morning, everyone. I'm Jill from SDHS, and I'm the course lead of 7 and micro-credential courses for Master of Education program.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Aratai, and I'm the program lead for Bachelor of Arts.
There's only one standing.
Hi, I'm Siti.
Hang on, Harathai. Do you have any courses that falls under micro-credential?
As of now, not yet, but
All right.
Hi, I'm Siti. I'm doing 4 MC courses.
All right.
I'm Soften, I'm the PL of GTE, and now I'm under GTE micro-credential courses.
All right.
My name is Jill, School of Science. Actually, most of the courses are actually involved master level.
Right.
I think I have a little of courses.
All right.
I'm Kai from the Health Center. I'm involved in APEL.M process and
So we have Lydia there from QA, Has, Farah, as well as Dong Kai. So you have 3 administrators here so far.
I'm Wen from SBA. Majority of my courses is running micro-credential. Previously, last year as a PL for BBLC, we also bundling the logistic and supply chain program and successfully graduate the students for the first professional certificate. Currently, it's a BBMG programming, and we also start bundling BBMG program so that fix the micro-credential more efficient.
All right, thank you.
Hi, morning, colleagues. I'm Stephen. I'm managing these micro-credentials. Thank you.
So for those who do not know, Mr. Steven is from WOU Academy.
Tron, I have a few learning courses, Bachelor of Education courses that will be available.
All right.
So where I'm doing, so for begin, so both my programs are taught through APEL.
Good morning everyone, I'm Dana from SCE. So I have certificate 1 and engineering mastery as matriculation.
Okay, I'm Shelly, so I'm from SPE. So I'm not yet involved with the company.
All right.
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm Shirley from SST. I'm not involved with this matriculation.
All right.
Hi, good morning. I'm Lina from SST. Also not involved with this.
Okay. And
Hi, I'm Lily from SPE. So far I have 6 matriculation courses, including postgraduate and undergraduate.
all right. Okay. Saving the best for last.
Yeah, the best. I'm Ilma. Yeah, I'm from Box Program. I handle a few psychology courses offered under MC.
Hi, I'm Stella. I'm here for logistics and I'm handling most of the logistic micro-credentials.
Okay. All right. So some of you are doing micro-credentials, some of you are not doing any micro-credential. And one of the terms that some have mentioned a couple of times is unbundled. So one of the areas that we will cover today is to look at unbundled versus another spectrum of micro-credentials that are standalone micro-credentials, these two. There are certain challenges of running APEL-M. I guess that is the reason why WOU is the only university with APEL-M at the moment. And I will explain to you what are the challenges of running APEL-M, which is the reason why many are waiting to see how we do things before they embark on APEL-M. So let me start. These are the certain areas that I will cover for today. 3 areas. Okay, technically 4, but 3 main areas. I do not do any APEL training without talking about history of APEL or the philosophy behind accreditation of prior spiritual learning. Okay, regardless of whether the training is conducted here in WOU or any other university. And we will always talk about the history and philosophy, it's very important. The second thing, looking at what I have heard so far, we will talk about micro-credentials first. You can't talk about APEL-M without knowing what is M first. So we will have a very brief introduction to what micro-credentials are, the kind of micro-credentials available, the kind of micro-credentials that we do at WOU versus what some of the other institutions are doing. The third thing is APEL-M proper. So when you look at APEL-M here, we will be looking at the processes from your standpoint as an assessor, as an advisor, as a moderator, and from the learner's standpoint, the one actually applying for APEL-M. Okay, from these 2 perspectives. Again, some of the challenges, this is where I will alert you to the challenges that you will face as assessors. That also means the APEL Center has also relook at some of the processes. Okay? Because it's not as straightforward as APEL-A, APEL-C. Now, some of you here have been involved or are still involved in APEL-A assessment. And some of you have done APEL-C assessment. That's good. Because that gives you a certain understanding of how to assess portfolios. Okay? But the challenge here is the portfolio that we use is slightly more comprehensive compared to the portfolio that you have seen. After lunch, we will look at that, and I have one portfolio prepared for us to assess. So when we do our hands-on, we will assess a portfolio. If that portfolio is part fiction and part truth. Okay, it's somebody's portfolio. I have written permission from that person to use that person's portfolio, but I've also tweaked some of the information within the portfolio itself. Okay, but when I share that portfolio with you, I'll also be sharing with you the rubric, that you can use to grade. It's in Excel form, so you just have to key in the scoring. It will hopefully give you the results. Okay. So these are the three main areas that we will look into today. As we want to avoid the first break, I will do as much as I possibly can within the first 2 hours. If there is a break, my slide also includes a slide on break. We will just skip the break and move on, okay? So the first portion of my sharing today is on these things. The history, very briefly. I will not be doing comprehensive history of APEL unless you have questions. You're curious and you want to know, then I will share the entire history of APEL. So I will only be sharing APEL as we know it, WOU. Okay, the historical aspect of APEL from WOU context. Okay, and then some of the principles and how it sits in the national agenda and also the institutional agenda. Okay. So historical because I've given you the years. So there are 4 types of APEL: that A, C, Q, and M. Okay, and in that order, APEL A started in 2011. Now I'd like to remind you, okay, let me ask you this question. Does anyone here remember when we started as an APEL center? That's actually the most senior ones here. The most senior ones here. As an APEL center, an established APEL assessment center. Anyone remember?
Yeah, 16.
Exactly, 2016. Okay, that's where we started as an APEL assessment center. But we've been running APEL since 2011. Okay, APEL A. Now at that time, the only APEL assessment center, I think Jokai was here during that time. The only APEL assessment center in the country was MQA. MQ was a designated APEL assessment center. Okay, so what is our involvement there? We were the aptitude test center. Okay, WOU was the aptitude test center. We ran the aptitude test for MQA. Whereas the candidates would actually submit their applications to MQA. So portfolio assessment and whatnot is done at MQA, not at WOU, at that time in 2011. So you can take it that we were like a pilot for MQA to see whether institutions are ready to do something like this. Okay, I was involved in invigilation. I was involved in the creation of the aptitude test as well as invigilation. I used to come on weekends and spend my time here and ask here, Penang specifically, to invigilate students or candidates who want to take up aptitude tests. Okay, so and in those days there was nothing online, so it was a physical test. They came and sat 2 hours. Somebody has to be there watching them, and then after that somebody marks us to marking. So it's physically administered. So that was 2011 APEL A. Then APEL C started in 2016. Now when APEL C started, it started together with setting up of APEL centers throughout the country. So what happened was 2 universities were shortlisted as pilot universities for APEL A. Those 2 universities were OUM and WOU. So we were labeled as the national assessment centers at that time. Big huge hoo-ha. We even had boards in the university to claim the national assessment center, and we were a national assessment center. We did a very good job together with OUM. Okay, and 4 universities were selected as pilots for APEL C during that time in 2016. Again, we, WOU, OUM, UITM, and INTI. The interesting thing is among the 4 institutions, INTI has almost disappeared. The rest are doing very well in the APEL landscape. Yeah, 18 not so much. But that's history again. For me, the understanding of history or the knowledge of history helps you appreciate APEL and the experiences that we have, WOU has over the years. Okay. Then, just after the pandemic, APEL-Q came into the picture. Now, APEL-A is for admission, okay, access. It's for those who don't have the right qualification, you don't have SPPM, you don't have SPM, you don't have diploma, you don't have degree, but you want to study. A is the answer for you. APEL-C is the other version of credit transfer. All of you are academics, and some of you are academic administrators. Therefore, you know what is credit transfer. The APEL-C is the other version of credit transfer. Okay, what's the difference between credit transfer and APEL-C? Credit transfer comes from a formal qualification, and APEL-C comes from a non-formal qualification. Okay? But APEL-Q is the interesting thing. We are one of the few in the world that has APEL-Q. I'm not saying that other countries don't have APEL-Q. No? You can Google APEL-Q. You will find that there are entities in UK, for example, that processes APEL-Q. Interesting thing about APEL-Q in a place like UK is there is no British qualification that you can get through APEL-Q. They only focus on European qualification. So the British government does not allow APEL-Q for you to get a qualification. Now, I don't want to go into the details of what is APEL-Q, but I think generally many of you know APEL-Q is used to as a shortcut to get a qualification. To get a diploma, to get a bachelor's degree, to get a master's degree, to get a doctorate. So if you look at the MQA's website, you will notice that there are only a few universities that's embarking on APEL-Q. Again, there are certain challenges in running APEL-Q that prevents people from accepting it as a viable option. And the last is, last in this list is APEL-M, which is this year technically. I say this year because since we were given that mandate, we were the first, and that approval came this year, so I consider this year. Although the idea of APEL-M actually started last year, 2022 actually, the idea of APEL-M, and last year it was launched, but no entity, no institution, no university. So I consider 2024 as the year for APEL-M. So APEL-M uses micro credentials. Okay? Now, that in a bit. Let me just, any questions here at this junction about APEL history? So obviously you don't like history. Okay, and neither do I. I'm not a fan of history, but sometimes you have no choice. History helps you in understanding a lot of things. If I'm bold enough, I will ask you, okay, since APEL-A started in 2011, what did we do before that? 2010, 2009, 2008, 2007. What did we do before that? How did we bring in students before that? Those of you who were here during that time.
Open entry.
Okay, so we had open entry. Have you seen how open entry is administered?
As long as you're above 21.
Okay. Open entry is done differently. It doesn't involve us, schools. It's done by the RCs. Okay? It's between RC and registry actually at that time. Open entry was very much like APEL-A. The only difference is that your work experience, your certificate of achievement, whatever, was less important compared to aptitude test. That aptitude test was the ultimate entry into a degree program. So we had a different problem then. Our open entry students didn't do very well. Our APEL students are actually doing a lot better than our open entry students. Data is available. Try to do a comparative analysis. You'll actually see our APEL students doing better than the open entry students. APEL students are better in that sense. So your conclusion could be that the APEL instruments is better at assessing assessing a candidate's ability. Okay? The software is not thinking, that is an idea. Okay. For cherry discussion on Friday. Okay, anyway. Excuse me. Very briefly, you don't have to take any photos here because I've actually given these slides to HR. They're supposed to send to you guys. They're not sent. Then maybe during the break I'll send to you. Okay? You don't have to take any photos. There are three things that you will get from me: the slides, the scoring rubric, and the sample portfolio. Okay, shortly during the break. So let's just continue. What is the APEL system? What was it designed for? It was designed for non-traditional learners. Okay, it was designed for non-traditional learners. We have traditional learners. Who are traditional learners? Most of you are traditional learners here. Sorry, I think all of you are traditional learners here. Because you have gotten your qualification through the traditional mode. Okay, you didn't go through APEL, you didn't go through open entry. You worked like crazy to get your qualification. Of course, some of you are full-time students studying nicely somewhere, and some of us were part-time students working and studying at the same time. We're looking at Lillian there, because she's also one of them. Okay, a part-time student work and study at the same time. Okay. You started with ABE, is it? Okay, so some of us are non-traditional learners. And there are a lot of non-traditional learners in the country. So this is to cater for them. But the question was, how do you allow a non-traditional learner who does not have the skill sets that is expected into an education system and compete with traditional learners who have been trained? Let me give you an example. Some people, okay. For example, this person A is doing a doctorate somewhere, okay, and this doctorate this person is doing in a part-time mode, working and doing doctorate at the same time, okay. First degree, full-time student, master's, full-time student, and then doctorate, part-time. And this student claimed that I'm an ODL student, or online student, because I'm part-time, but work and study. But this person has gone through undergrad, fully trained, postgrad, fully trained to handle deadlines, assignments, and whatnot. So this person actually has an advantage over your typical ODL student or typical non-traditional learner. So this APEL system is supposed to make sure everyone is on the same level playing ground. Okay, I still hear people complain that APEL students are not that good. Not in WU. Some of our award winners, a month from now is on go. I have not seen this list, but in previous lists, some of our award winners were APEL candidates. The best postgraduate student, APEL candidates. So if an APEL candidate can do that well to be a top student for the entire postgraduate list of students, for example, that's great. They do have something, okay, to give to society. Okay, so anyway, that is what APEL system is all about. If you look at some of the items here, like for example, I will also discuss this later in detail, formal, non-formal, informal. You cannot just give a free ticket to someone to enter into a program and study. Okay, when someone else has to work very hard to do the same thing. So you have to demonstrate that you have what they have. A non-traditional learner has exactly what a traditional learner has, but they have obtained it through a different mode, through life, through work. Okay? Every day you come to work, you learn something. Every day you come to work, you learn something. You learn how to do certain things. I'm a naturally lazy person. I'm a naturally lazy person. As a lazy person, I always look for an easy way to do things. Faster way to do things. So long-winded approaches irks me. Okay? If there's a way that you can shorten a process, I'm very happy. Okay? So WOU is considered very good because for 17 years that I've been here, there are a lot of processes that we have shortened. That's good. Okay, so anyway, what I'm trying to say is that in that process, you learn. So I am a non-traditional learner in that sense, because I was an ODL student, right? But legally or officially, I cannot be labeled as a non-traditional learner. The reason is, I did my first degree using STPM. That means I have STPM. So I'm also considered a traditional learner, although I was an ODL student in my first degree. I've never been embarrassed to tell people that I'm an ODL student. Okay, and I know a few other people here who are also ODL students. Anyway, okay, so formal, non-formal, informal. Later we will have a look at what those means. Okay. Now, why is APEL-M important? APEL-Q is important. A important. Blah blah blah. Because these are all part of the flexible pathway or flexible learning landscape. Okay? These are all part of the flexible learning landscape. On the left are all the flexible learning pathways available. Micro-credentials is one. Especially if you don't intend to go and get a degree. You just want certain skill sets. You will notice that if you were to read the guidelines for good practice for APEL, it doesn't matter which APEL, A, C, Q, M. I see this a lot everywhere. I see that a lot. ASK. Anybody here knows what ASK stands for? If you have read through the guidelines, you will actually see this a lot. ASK. A stands for something, S stands for something, K stands for something. And your entire APEL process actually looks at these three things. ASK. No one. Take a guess. Shoot in the dark. Dr. Chu should know. Putting him on the spot. ASK.
Assessment. A for assessment.
A for assessment. I feel like we're in kindergarten right now. A for apple. Okay. A assessment. What else? Take a guess. Take a guess. Yeah. K for skill. S for skills. Okay. Knowledge. A. Exactly. Okay. So it's attitude, skills, and knowledge. The entire APEL guidelines, all of them talks about attitude, skills, and knowledge. So when you look at the portfolio form that you're going to look at later, it also looks at you assessing attitudes, you assessing skills, and you assessing knowledge that they have. Okay? So anyway, so if you look at the right side is the different delivery mechanism available. It's either ODL, fully, blended, or conventional, but all leads to the same thing. Okay, certain achievement that you want. The reason I went with micro-credentials, right at the bottom, micro-credentials here at the bottom, is because that is for people who are looking for skills or knowledge. Bits and pieces of skills that you're looking for, that you don't have, that you want to enhance. Knowledge that you don't have, that you want to get. You go for micro-credential, you're not looking for a qualification. You're only looking for a piece of paper that says, or a digital badge that says, you know this, you know that. Okay? Let me be upfront with you. Everyone here, I suppose, except the administrators, have been involved in micro-credentials without realizing it. Okay? Keep that in mind. I'm going to ask you that question later. What are the micro-credentials that you guys actually did that you don't realize that we did a micro-credential? Now, the guiding principles, there are 7, I believe. Yeah. Okay? Now, I can go through each and every one of them, but I want to focus on things that matters here. Number 1 is always been very important for me. It doesn't matter where you learn, it doesn't matter how you learn, as long as you've learned something, you should be recognized. Simple as that. Which is the reason why any evidence provided by candidates, we accept, as long as it's relevant. Let's do a comparison between APEL-C and APEL-A. In APEL-C, when we say relevant, what does that mean? For APEL-C, what does relevant means? Relevant means it must be relevant to that course, because APEL-C is course level exemption. Right? APEL-A is entry into a program, but APEL-C is course level. That's not really say business ethics. Okay? So if you find, how do you, give me an example of something that's relevant for business ethics.
Example that is relevant.
Yeah. And evidence to prove that somebody has business ethics or somebody has ethics.
You want the ethics point of view or you want the sustainability point of view?
Up to you.
Basically now that everybody is trending topic is your sustainability or CSR.
So if you are embarking in such an activity, it's considered that you do have something that fits one of the course learning outcomes of business ethics.
Yes.
Thank you. So relevant here is relevant to the course. In A, relevance means relevant to the broader field. Okay, education. English, for example. Somebody has a lot of evidence to show that they've done some English work, they've done public speaking, some communication related, and you can accept. If they come and tell you they are hardcore accountants, they've done hardcore calculating that, bookkeeping experts, and they want to do an English degree, and they present that as an evidence, you have every right to reject. Which I know that our colleagues in SCHS has done before, because it's not relevant. Okay, so you should accept all evidence as long as it's relevant for that purpose. So it's fit for purpose. Okay? Continue. Number 2, flexible assessment. Now, flexibility in assessment means that this is something that I think WU is guilty. We don't do. Our assessors don't do. I would hope that our assessors do this, but a lot of our assessors don't do. I do not blame the assessors, because I know why they don't do it. Because it's a lot of extra effort. Somebody gives you a portfolio, you assess the portfolio. Let's just say something is missing in that portfolio. What do? What would be the right thing to do? If you look at a portfolio and you find certain things missing or certain things may not be relevant, what should be, or you're not too sure what they are actually presenting, what do you think is the ideal thing to do?
Call the candidate.
Clarify, call the candidate, talk to the candidate. Okay? Ask. But don't just ask, document as well. Because our problem is this thing. Evidence. Everything has to have evidence. You can just cannot claim, I called him, I spoke to him, and he said this. Therefore, I accept. There should be some form of evidence for that. And because there's another meeting. Some form of evidence. So some people do, what do? They call, and then they send an email after that. As per our discussion, blah, 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 and then you keep that email as evidence that this has been done. Even when the MQA comes for accreditation visits, they ask you the same thing, isn't it? When you say that I've done this, they ask for evidence. Same thing. Okay, the evidence could be in any format, but it has to be kept somewhere. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, continue. Number 3 is SMEs, subject matter experts. All of you are subject matter experts, including Lydia, Jonkai, and Farah. They are also subject matter experts. In their own way, they are subject matter experts. Every one of you has a subject that you are good at, that you know better than anybody else, that you believe you know better than anybody else. Okay? So the appointment of experts is very important. There is a proper process in the appointment of experts. I have done I've been an external examiner for APEL for a few universities since last year. Okay, like this year, I did an assessment at Unimas. I think about 4 months ago. Okay, and Unimas is a public university. Okay, and public universities are notorious for something, and that is everything they document. Everything that they hire you to do, they give you a letter. You have appointment for letter for everything under the sun. Okay? You're asked to organize Deepavali event. Okay? You will have a letter to show that chair of the organizing committee. That's how public universities function. Okay? I know that they don't get an appointment letter to organize Deepavali. Okay? We don't do these things, but a lot of universities out there do that. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not an ad hoc appointment. It cannot be an ad hoc appointment. The appointment of the experts has to be based on certain principles, certain characteristics, and appropriately done. Appointment letter and acceptance. Okay? Appointment letter and acceptance. Keep that in mind. There's more for the administrators here to remember. You guys don't have to worry about that. But the thing you have to worry is when somebody asks you to assess, you should ask, appointment letter? Okay, then Jonkai will have to start thinking what to do. Okay, anyway. Let me see what I want to focus on. QA. Right there, QA. QA does not refer to the department. QA refers to the QA mechanism that you should have. Not from the institutional perspective alone, but also from school. Every assessment that you do goes through the school board, right? So it's a responsibility of the members of the school board to ensure that whatever you're looking at is right. And if you don't agree, you should say so. Okay, you don't go. What I don't want to see is proposals going to a school board for the sake of going through school board. Then it defeats the purpose. Then the school board is not playing its role as the school level QA body. The QA body for the school is the school board. It's the school board's responsibility. It's not the school rep in the quality and standards committee. That is not the QA for the school. It is the school board itself. That means everyone who sits in the school board is responsible for quality assurance. Okay? I'm going to continue. I'm not going to ask you anything. I want you to just understand this three and enough. Education people are supposed to be experts in this. Education people has been those who come from the field of education. By right should be experts because this is bread and butter for them. But I also want to remind you something very, very important. We are all educators here. Whether you have an education degree or not, we are all educators. Hence, we should have a pretty decent understanding about these things. So starting with formal, I lump formal and non-formal together because they are very similar in the sense that they are both structured. They are both intentional. Okay, they're both structured, they're both intentional. They could have course objectives, they could have learning outcomes, they could have assessment at the end of the journey. They can have all that, these two. Okay? The difference is formal means it has to have a formal attestation. There is a formal body that says this is a qualification. This is a legal qualification. So I put UPSR here. Okay, but I realized when I was talking to RC colleagues some time ago that before UPSR there was this thing called, I'm not sure what you call it in English, but it's called Ujian Penilaian Darjah 5. Okay? And I'm not sure how many of you did that. I did that. It was my time. So I did that. That tells you how old I am. I did that, and I still have that piece of paper, that certificate. My point is, I can bring that piece of paper to an APEL center and say, I have one formal qualification that I want to use to apply for the pass. Because that is an accepted document. Okay? Now let's just say I don't have UPSR, I don't have this thing called Ujian Penilaian Darjah 5. I, like my parents for example, who had 2 years of primary school education and 3 years of primary school education. My mom 3 years of primary school education, my dad 2 years of primary school education. My mom 1 year higher than my dad. Okay, primary school education. But I've asked them, do you have or not any document to show? They don't have. They were during that era, 40s, you know, that they don't have anything and they don't keep. Why would they keep? Okay? But let's just say they have a report card somewhere. Okay, a report card, 2 years of report card, they say that you actually studied in that school, these are the grades. That report card is a formal document you can use to say, I do have formal. So formal here does not mean completion. It means you were there in the system. Okay? Do you know the shortcomings of some universities out there? Especially public universities. They only accept completion. If they want to see you have an UPSR. Although DGP says nothing about it. Okay, your guidance, a good practice, doesn't say anything about it. They impose their own rules, nothing wrong. You can, WOU can do the same thing. Because whatever GDP gives you, whatever your program standards give you is minimum, don't forget. Okay, it's just minimum, you can have one level higher, it's fine. But WOU was set up for a different purpose. What is our purpose? You want to give education for everybody, right? Okay, you want to make sure no one is left behind. Therefore, we are a little bit more flexible. Okay, but of course there's a different philosophical discussion to that. That's not for today. Over lunch, maybe we can talk about that. Okay. So non-formal is intentional because you want to learn. You want to study. But the thing is that it doesn't lead to anything. Give you an example. How many here actually went and swam in Coursera? I mean, you know we have access to Coursera, so actually went and jump inside, swim, do whatever you want in Coursera. So you didn't have done it, they didn't have to. You should just be a rep for Coursera. But wait, I know she has done it because she's very happily shares whatever she does. So I know she has done it. Anyone? Hello? You guys? Just jump only. No swimming. Drown like that. Okay, no, it's good. The reason I'm asking is, good, you go into Coursera, you learn something. Doesn't matter what you learn, huh? It doesn't matter what you learn. You learn something, and then what do you get at the end of that learning? Yeah, you have a certificate of completion, which is from Coursera, right? It's not from Harvard, right? It's from Coursera, isn't it? So Coursera is a legal body that awards qualifications. Is Coursera a legal body that awards qualifications? No, it's a non-formal learning. It is organized. It's organized. And Coursera also has assessment, quiz and whatnot that you do. And also no issue. But whether somebody out there wants to accept your Coursera cert is up to them. You cannot say, I go make a police report, they don't want to accept Coursera. You cannot do that. If they don't accept SPM, yeah, you can make a report, you can file a complaint. They're not accepting SPM. SPM is our legal document. Okay? You understand? Now, the last one is the most difficult to assess. The first is easy, paper. Evidence comes from paper, usually. Second is also easy. It could be an e-cert, it could be a printed cert, it could be a digital badge, it could be anything but evidence of completion. But the last one is the most difficult one, the informal learning. It's non-structured, it's unintentional. You didn't want, it's not something you did because you wanted to learn something. But in the process, you learn something. Now, some of you have been in my session before. Could you remember some of the examples that I've given before for informal? Anyone? Anyone can remember? But Stephen has never been, so he wouldn't know. Another time?
I mean, work experience.
What did you learn from your work experience, Vitaly?
I mean, like in terms of communication skills, in terms of like soft skills, and also the hard
Okay.
skills.
Full stop right there. Communication skills, evidence. No choice, huh? Evidence must still be provided. Communication skills, evidence. Soft skill is, well, soft skills are many types of soft skills. You have to be very specific as to which soft skills, evidence. Hard skill, forget about hard skills, okay? Let's not worry about hard skills. Just talk about communication soft skill. As long as you have evidence, it's enough. Also today, once we complete this recording, for example, and the recording would have also captured, hopefully, Aratai's voice. Just now, when she asked and when she said, when she explained communication, soft skills, hard skills, and whatnot, that is evidence that she can say, okay, evidence of the existence of communication skills that I've obtained while working. So there's no hard and fast rule as to what can be accepted as evidence. My last slide usually will have the list of evidence that we have collected in this university. So far, in this university, what we have collected so far. I have a list. So I usually show that list. So that list is quite comprehensive. What is out there, what can be given is there in the list. At least for us, that's what we have received so far. And I'm sure there's more examples or evidences out there that we have never received that other institutions may have. So the point here is this, never claim. Claims have no value. Evidence has value. The only thing is, MQA is flexible on what can be submitted as evidence as long as it's sanctioned evidence. Video recording is good, audio recording is also good. Okay, testimonial. Stephen here is the HOD. Okay, so he writes a note saying that yes, Aratai has communication skills. Stamp WOU, stamp there, done. Evidence that can be submitted. Okay. Any questions here? Have you seen any evidence out there that you're not sure where to place? Like, let me be very honest with you. Your candidates do not know what to place where. They do not know. Why? They do not know because I always blame advisors. Okay, the entire panel of experts, the number one person is the advisor. That person is the one that has to take the heaviest burden of ensuring the candidates know what they are doing. It's not the assessors, it's not the moderators, it's the advisors. Okay, very, very important. I've had this discussion with Uliani before. The importance of advisors and the role that they play to ensure only the right evidence is submitted. So one of the biggest problems we have is people submitting whatever evidence they want. Okay? Now, if you want, I can send you a file that I received from a candidate applying for APEL-C. And I can tell you exactly how many pages it had. 1087. 1087 pages. Okay? Later, when I send you the thing, if I can find in my hard drive here, I'll send you. You can have a look. 1087. This is the entire history of that guy. He's from Sarawak. Okay, the entire history of that guy in that file. PDF 1087. You know how difficult it is for us to look at all the evidence and decide which matches which learning outcomes? And he used the same evidence for 3 different courses. Same 1087. Okay, so it's one SBA, and my SBA colleagues had a hard time trying to match. It took months to complete for that one person, but managed to complete. He graduated last year. Okay, but still, when I look at that example, until now it still irks me because that's not how it should have been done. I was the assessor for that course. That's not how it should have been done. Instead of 1087, only the relevant ones should have been submitted. Okay. There's also one more confusion out there. Okay, in terms of a qualification and where to place the qualification. My Facebook page, I always see this ad from UTM, University Technology Malaysia, UTM. And the ad is on professional MBA. Okay, 6 months, I believe. Okay, professional MBA. No, this is the 1-year program. Professional MBA. Okay, offered by UTM Space. I'm sure you know what UTM Space, right? Okay, UTM Space has been around longer than WU. And they were all running OTL programs way much earlier. Okay. So UTM Space Professional MBA. Question: where do you place that? If somebody were to give you this, and I have an MBA, I've seen a lot of people CV they say MBA. When I look at evidence, it's not an MBA, it's a professional MBA. There is a difference. So where do you place this professional MBA? Here. It's non-formal, obviously. Executive MBA, non-formal. Our SEMBA doesn't count, because the executive there has a different meaning. And it's not an executive MBA. The executive in our SEMBA has a different meaning entirely. Okay? So, professional MBA, executive MBA, blah blah blah, falls under non-formal learning. But a lot of people don't understand this, and it's not their fault, because they think UTM is an RU. UTM is an RU. It's a research university, one of only 5 research universities in the country. UTM, impossible that is not recognized. Again, it does not have government agency, external agency recognition, non-MQA. I'm not sure whether you have actually seen the transcript of a UTM MBA. If you have seen the transcript of this professional MBA, right at the bottom, it's written there, non-MQA accredited. It's written there. UTM know what they're doing. They have put this statement there. Your transcript at the bottom, small there, non-MQA accredited. You know, when you apply for something and you have to read this whole long list of terms and conditions which you don't read, and you scroll down and you just press agree. How many people actually look at that small print? Nobody. So students don't know. We know because they send the application, they want to do pre-BA here, they submit that as evidence. Cannot lah, sorry. I'm not going to, yeah.
So actually this kind of certificate, like 2 days workshop and then give a certificate, is endorsed by the university.
Endorsed by university is still non-formal.
Still not.
But you can still submit as evidence that non-formal. Okay. Actually, we have done that. WU has done that a few times. Courses conducted with other people, but we have given our endorsement. So there's a WU logo there. Okay, but you have to be very clear. These are skills training courses. They're not academic qualification. So somewhere there must be some information that says this. I'm not sure. We look. Malaysian government is considered very good. You look at the SPM cert, whatever. I think I don't know by the time whether go on or not. Behind, they used to write this information about the certificate. Behind, okay? But our schools don't have anything behind. So a transcript has to play that role. But when you do that kind of courses, like this one, our good friend, Mr. Steven, will give a cert. Okay, where does it say this does not tantamount to a qualification, academic qualification? It doesn't. Okay, it doesn't say anywhere. So what I'm saying is that institutions should look into this, find a way so that this kind of confusion doesn't happen in the market. Any other questions?
Sorry. When you
Please.
say number one, recognize, which body are you referring to?
Anybody, it could be Ministry of Higher Education, it could be Ministry of Human Resource. For example, your SKM that some students do, SKM PKM. This doesn't have Ministry of Higher Education approval. This is Ministry of Human Resource approval because it falls under MHR. Therefore, as long as you have government agency approval, then it's accepted.
So you're talking about any one of them?
Anyone. Now, this is a bit too much, I know. Okay, this is a bit too much. Okay, basically looking at benefits of APEL to the learner, to student of the learner, to employers, to the country, nation, and to the university. Okay? Now, it's very lengthy. Okay, it's very lengthy. There's a lot of things. You can read the GGP if you want to look for information related to this. But I just want to look at for higher education. What WOU can learn from the portfolio that you access. You see, and anybody who submits a portfolio submits an experience that they have that represent them and the industry that they belong to. You can actually look at that portfolio and see what you can do to improve your curriculum. So, I'm sure somewhere it's there somewhere. Support the development of curriculum. Because the portfolio shows you what is available out there. The portfolio shows you what learners go for, what these candidates go for, what is the kind of skills training they prefer. The portfolio shows these things, and that tells you what you should do to your curriculum, how to develop the curriculum pattern. If you look at the portfolio and realize that most of the courses they've attended are all online, then the university should decide that we should go fully online because there's a huge market there. Because that is the preference of the candidates, which is a representation of what's happening now outside there. Okay? So, I'm not going to touch on this too much, but I just want to remind you that there are a lot of parties that benefits from APEL. We benefit from APEL, the learners themselves benefit, no doubt. Okay, but the benefit to the institution, I think a lot of people don't look at it. Because APEL sometimes is seen as another revenue stream, a place to make a little bit more money. You will notice that there's nowhere we talk about business here. We don't talk about revenue here, we don't talk about profit here. Because we are not looking at it from that context. We are looking at this from the context of intangible benefits to institution, not tangible ones. Not RM related, but non-RM related benefits. Okay? So I will not touch this, but when I share this with you, you guys can read them. Okay. The why is this important? Because there are two, the second half of today we will be looking at NQF. No choice. Because when you do portfolio assessment, you have to do based on NQF. right? So this is basically to remind you how the importance of APEL, so to speak. Okay, it's everywhere. From level 1 right up to level 8. Now we have level 8 as well. We have T8. Okay, we have T8 right now. Okay, so every aspect of, every level of MQF we have covered, except the lower ones. We don't go 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have 4, 6, 7, 8. There's another history to that as well because we started with 6. We started with 6 and then went to 7 and then 4. Okay? There is a university that applied for 5. In the end, they backed off. They submitted and then they decided to retract their submission. So currently, there's no university that is focused on 5. APEL 5, T5. But then you also have to ask that question, how many advanced diploma qualifications are there in the country? We don't have many, it's not worth going into T5. At WOU, we are very smart. We are really forward thinking when it comes to this. We only focus on the ones that matters, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, now that we have 8, I believe that 8 can actually move very fast. Because the market where you don't have masters but you want to do a doctorate is pretty big. So DBA should have a field day. Unfortunately, WU doesn't have, it's my bone of contention. So I'm looking at education people, it's my bone of contention. It's a pity WU doesn't have an EDD. I'm always asked for EDD for WU. It's a pity we don't have EDD because all this will pick up with T8. And with APEL-M, EDD is even easier to administer. EDD. EDD.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Okay, EDD. No, I will ask. I have mentioned EDD many times in many platforms. Every dean has given me an excuse not to do it. Anyway, let me continue. So you know these clusters, right? Okay. Now we have decided this cluster will be spread into 11 domains, isn't it? Now that 11 domains is very important because when you look at the GGP, it gives you a form, and the form also has the so-called domains, but the domains there is limited. So what APEL Center should do, okay, is rework the form to ensure that it covers all learning outcomes of a typical program. That means 11. Okay, later when I show you the rubric, you will know that we actually do assessment on 12 items, not 11 items. And you will see what is item number 12 in a short while. Okay? So the form also has to be revamped. A lot of universities out there still using the old form from GGP 1. The old form of GGP 1 is what you have right now in your APEL system, only at 8 columns. There are only 8 areas to fill in your scoring. Whereas we actually have 12, 11 plus 1. The 1 I will show you in a short while. Okay? So I'm not going to, this is not a discussion about MQF. It's just to remind you that all our assessment based on MQF. I cannot talk about APEL without talking about where we are in the country. Okay? So let's start with APEL-A. We have 16 plus 6 meaning, okay, how many types of APEL centers are out there in the country? Types. Two. Okay? You're either open or internal. You're either open APEL center or an internal APEL center. What does that mean is Open means anybody can come and register to do APEL assessment. Internal means only your students. So the 16 plus 16 that you see is 16 open, 16 internal. Okay? 16 open, 16 internal. It's actually originally 16 open and 17 internal. Okay, there's one institution that has gone through its accreditation this year and failed. Okay, so they are appealing. They've been asked to resubmit their accreditation. So that is removed. But I've also removed that. For those who attended a previous session of mine, you will see that institution's logo there. But here I have removed that logo. And I will not mention the institution's name as well. Okay, it won't be software then. I'm not going to mention. But they failed their accreditation, unfortunately. Okay, so they've appealed, the appeal rejected, they have to resubmit. But they're going through the whole process again because the conditions are far too many. Okay, so I removed that. So if not, by now should be 33. That means we are competing with 32 other institutions out there. But currently we are competing with 31 institutions out there. Okay, so the number of applicants we are getting is getting lesser and lesser. Okay, because competition is stiff. And the worst part is, all those people under internal, now they're slowly applying to be open. Okay? Their contention is this. Number one, they hope they can make more money. It's not a cheap business. I mean, you pay fees. Students are paying fees. Fees are set by MQA. Majority you take. You only pay a small amount to MQA. Okay? So that's one. Number two, they hope to do something that they cannot do. Hard sell. Oh, sorry. I don't want to use the word hard sell. Soft sell. They want to try to convince those who want to go to WOU to go to them. John Kai knows very well, we have been warned before. Okay, John Kai knows very well. We have been warned before for doing hard selling. I mean, external candidates, you try to convince them to join WOU, which MQA does not accept. And it's clearly stated in our approval document. We cannot hard sell our program. Your hint is one thing. Be smart lah if you want to sell your program also. Hint lah, use soft approach lah. But don't tell them you come here, we give you extra 50% discount. They take it back to MQA and they complain. They don't complain, they just bring the information back to MQA. MQA looks at that as a complaint. Okay, so this is APEL A. This is APEL C. So there are 59 universities, institutions, that means including colleges, with APEL C. APEL is not targeted only at universities, or university, UC, and college, including community college and polytechnics can apply for APEL. Your competition is not just the few universities that we have in the country. It's every academic institution in the country. Again, can be your competition. So, 59 institutions for APEL C. But APEL C is internal. There's no open status for APEL C. You can only entertain, you can only process your own students. So we have 59 and counting. Okay, and counting. 59 was just added 3 months ago. Before this was 58. Okay, the number 59 just came in. UPM, I believe, was the number 59. Okay? APEL-Q. We have 10 universities, 10 institutions in the country with APEL-Q. Okay, of course, I did not list the number of programs like I know. That's a lot for all 3 levels, it's a lot. So APEL-Q, 10 universities. I believe the latest to enter was City University was the latest entry into APEL-Q. And if you look at the APEL-Q listing, majority of them are offering BBA and BA. Okay, majority, except 2 institutions that offer DCE. Okay, DCE. The DCE actually can do well for APEL-Q, but anyway. So MBA, BBA is the common APEL-Q programs, okay, that most institutions go for. Only universities. There are no UCs here and there are no colleges here. Only universities. Okay? It's very expensive to run APEL-Q. Okay? And I did not mention this earlier, but between ACQ and M, Q and M, I didn't mention this, but I will show you later why I say it's very difficult. Q and M is the most difficult to administer. It's the most, for you, for assessors, it's the most difficult to do. Q and M. Maybe, I'm not sure whether those in QA know this or not. Okay? One university here actually failed its, okay, it's not accreditation, because when you, this is how APEL works. When you have the first 25 completed applications, you have to submit for an assessment to MQA. So they will do an assessment to ensure that whatever you have promised that you have done, the whole process is properly executed, and the 25 candidates are happy with it. Okay? For all ACQM 25. Okay? So when one university here did that assessment, they failed. And this university was, it's being recorded. So I cannot mention the university's name. Okay? There's one university that actually failed. Because the approach that they used was they wanted to make sure that they are well known for the APEL-Q, and they targeted ministers. I say minister, you can guess which university. They target ministers and CEOs and whatnot to get the APEL-Q. And they failed the first round of that 25 candidate round. So they were asked to do some tweaking to the process. Because the APEL-Q process is not simple, but they simplified it. Now, oversimplification is also not very good, because sometimes we simplify things because we want it for operational convenience. Easy for us, easy to administer. But easy to administer does not necessarily mean it's something really good. People like them would understand this. Why sometimes the process has to be lengthy. Because there's so many elements, okay, that has to be looked into before the end stage. Therefore, there's no real smart way of shortening that process. But that particular institution managed to shorten it and also charged a lot. The fees is very high. But then again, ministers and CEOs can afford. I mean, here, maybe some of you can afford Proton Saga, 20 years. A 20-year-old Proton Saga. Sorry, I cannot afford. And APEL-M, we're the only one. Okay? Proud, okay? Okay, APEL-M, we are the only one, but not for long. Not for long, because my friend from another institution, he's a friend, but the university is a competition, has already submitted their application. Okay, so maybe this year, early next year, no, it won't be this year, it's too early. So maybe somewhere early next year, there will also be an APEL-M center. But that means that they will have all four, A, C, Q, and M. And most probably will be the only university in the country with all four. And they will use that as part of their promotion. Yeah, I didn't say at which university, hello? I didn't say which university. Don't make guesses. Okay, anyway, the next slide is actually a break. We'll jump to MC now. So maybe another half an hour. 1 hour. Wow. 1 hour I can cover the entire micro-credential, and jump into APEL.M. Might as well serve lunch inside here. Okay, anyway, okay, let's look at micro-credentials first. There are two types of micro-credentials. Now again, let me see here. Certain things that some of us are attending a micro-credential course right now. Again, it's by call. Okay, some of you of us, I mean, Sean is there, Sopan is there, Parimala is also there. Okay. And there are a lot of participants there. Not that many, but 30 odd participants only, and mostly from Malaysia. And one of the questions a participant asked last week was, that person thought that micro-credential, the certification of micro-credential should be printed. Means a printed copy of cert. But look at the definition of micro-credential. It says digital certification. Okay? Now, regardless of what it says there, does that mean that you cannot have a printed copy of a cert for micro-credentials? You can have. But the whole idea is that it should be supported with a digital presence. Okay? Now, earlier I said, all of you have done micro-credentials in WOU without realizing that you have done micro-credentials. Can anybody here guess what is the micro-credentials that you did without knowing that you actually did a micro-credential?
OTT, is it?
Exactly. Your OTT is your micro-credential. But may I ask you this, between the two definitions of micro-credential, SAMC stands for stand-alone micro-credentials. SAMC, stand-alone micro-credential, and the other micro-credential, the accredited micro-credential, is what we do. Remember the first thing in the morning when you started talking about MCs, you say unbundled micro-credentials. That is the first one, unbundled micro-credentials. But the second one is stand-alone micro-credential. So your OTT, which one is it? It's a stand-alone micro-credentials. How many topics are there in your OTT? If you guys have done it, you will know exactly how many right.
Six.
Why some of you are uncertain?
Was done so long already.
When did you do it?
2 years ago.
Okay.
Before MTO is there.
You did during MCO itself. But we didn't have 6 during MCO.
We have 5
Okay, anyway, the point is, you need 6. That means how many digital bags you're supposed to have? 6. Your entire OTT is not the micro-credential. Each topic is a micro-credential. Because each topic is stand-alone. Because you are provided a certification for each. In the form of digital badge, yes, but for each. So you have 6 MCs already collected, and they all stand alone. This is the problem. The problem is, the 6, I'm sure, can fit somewhere. It cannot fit SPA, certainly, because the topics won't fit any of the programs that we have in SPA. Certainly cannot fit SCE. So the only place is education. Isn't it? One of the topics is on OBE. And OBE is part of your broader curriculum development, curriculum design subfield. Okay, so you can actually take that digital badge and go to SCHS and ask, can I get an APEL-C for this? APEL-C for this? Yes. Sean is right. No. Why? Because it's a very small component of whatever course that they have. Anybody here remembers what was the duration for each topic? We actually indicated the duration. I'm not sure the revised version has it or not, but when we first designed it, we actually put a duration for each. Hello, for your CPD purposes, your 40 hours purpose, we actually indicated each topic, what is the duration? Anybody know something?
8 hours?
Wait. Throw no lah, 8 hours. 8 times 6 is 48. Every year you do what? Nobody remember this. 2 hours. We allocated 2 hours for each of the topics. So it's 12 hours actually. So your entire OTT is worth 12 hours. And we allocated the 2 hours specifically for you. It wasn't for the tutors. For them, it's meaningless. For you, so that you can submit under your KPI for CPD attainment. Okay? But does it take 2 hours for you to go through each topic? It doesn't take. Just like Coursera, right? Every Coursera course that you do also indicates what is the duration of the course, isn't it? Do you take that much time? Do you take it faster or slower? Faster, right? Because that is indicative, assuming all the participants are working adults, that you won't have time. So some of their courses, they put there 6 months. You can finish it within 2 or even a month if you work on it every single day. So, let's compare these two first, the accredited MC. How many weeks? The accredited MCs, the unbundled MCs, how many weeks? Just now we spoke about OTT, 2 hours, 12 hours, right? But for your unbundled MCs, how many weeks is expected for your MCs? Because the unbundled MCs are typical courses, regular courses. So it's a whole term. Okay, it's a whole term, right? And assuming all your MCs are 3 credits, so it's worth 120 hours. Betul kan? SLT is 120, right? So each of your MC that you are managing right now is worth 120 hours. Okay? This is very important because I will show you later the kind of permutations to expect in APEL. Today's session is specifically to ensure that you can manage the first permutation. For us, for WU, the first permutation. There are 5 permutations that you can expect in APEL-M. If there are no other universities out there applying for APEL-M, then everybody who wants APEL-M will come to WU, and you cannot turn them away because WU is an open APEL center for APEL-M. So you cannot say no to anybody. You cannot say sorry, our policy doesn't allow. Okay, there's no such thing. Okay, it's mandatory for us to accept. We cannot turn anyone away. Everyone will come here. That means you will see the other permutations as well. And those permutations are the tougher ones. Okay? The reason being, your accredited MCs, 120 hours, right? Then your standalone MCs, how many hours? Because you're going to do a matching. You're going to look at a standalone MC and say, this is equivalent to this. This is equivalent to my course. So I'm giving you full exemption. But my course is worth 120 hours. Your Coursera is there, it says 1.5 hours, which is an hour and a half. An hour and a half, 120, how do you tackle that? Okay, how do you tackle that? So, the GGP is very clear on standalone MCs. minimum 40 hours. Okay, minimum 40 hours. One standalone MC, minimum 40 hours. May I ask you something? Your typical 3 credit course typically has how many CLOs?
3.
3 CLOs, right? You should not say that CLO 1 is more important than 2, 2 is more important than 3 from an academic standpoint. You cannot say 1 is more important than 3. All 3 CLOs are equally important. Yeah? Follow the mathematics, the maths here. You have 3 CLOs and your SLT is 120. So what your 1 CLO is expected to contribute 40 hours. So when you talk about standalone micro-credentials, a micro-credential, a standalone micro-credential that has 40 credits, that 40 hours is just not enough, okay, to match against one of our courses. So you would need at least
3 courses.
Now, sounds nice mathematically, but that's because I say minimum for standalone is 40 hours. If somebody is offering a standalone MC for 120 hours, good luck. It covers all. Okay? It covers all. That is the reason why every MC out there, even whether it's standalone or accredited, objectives are expected to be stated clearly. Outcomes are expected to be stated clearly so that when you do matching, you know how to match. This discussion right now only looks at the hour value of a standalone micro-credential. So what I'm trying to say is that you go and do a Coursera, one course in Coursera, you cannot come and say that one course that you did in 2 hours is equivalent to what others do for the whole term. That is the complexity of APEL-M. If everybody who submits their portfolio only submits accredited MCs, no issue. Nothing won't be a problem. But if they're going to submit a combination of accredited MCs and standalone MCs, there's unbundled MCs and standalone MCs, you're going to have a lot of problems. Okay? You understand? How can I run 2 hours without a break? Once in a while, stand up. Okay? Once in a while, stand up. Okay? Walk around a bit, sit down. Okay? Run around if you have to. I'm moving around. Okay? Okay, any questions here at this point? So, let me put this straight. None of you actually, as far as I know, SE got, okay, have actually designed and delivered a micro-credential. You have not. What you have done is unbundle. Unbundle means what? Unbundle only means your BBM 210 becomes MC BBM 210. That's all. That's all. Very magic, you know. You just add MC in front, unbundled. That's all. That is the unbundling that we have done so far. Not just you, me included. Okay, that is the unbundling that we have done so far. It's just by adding 2 characters, 2 alphabets in front of the code. We have not re-looked at the curriculum. We have not re-looked at the assessment. We have not done all that. So our unbundle is not like the unbundle that other universities have done. I had a conversation with UITM colleagues in 2022, okay, and they were explaining to not just me, a few of us were around, to us about how they did their micro-credential. And then we just told them how we do our micro-credential. Okay, press of a button, it turns into a micro-credential, everything is the same, tutor same, assessment same, everything is the same. They looked at us, huh? Because they attended Prof. Karim's workshop. And Prof. Karim, to be fair to him, his explanation, his advice is the proper micro-credential, the right way micro-credentials to be created. What you did is right. They followed. We are smart. We didn't follow. We did it our way. Now, our way is not wrong. It is also an allowed way. So we decided, let's go for something less taxing on us and less taxing on the students. So for the students, no difference. They come in the same class. They see same people around, same person teaching, content the same, assessment the same, everything's the same. They don't feel out of place. They still feel that they're part of that team, that class, which is actually very good, the way we have done. We are actually thinking about them. I mean, that's how I was spinning the story. It's about spinning. Okay, that's how I tell the story. It's to make sure that they feel comfortable. It's for them that we did it this way. Okay? Anyway, so the ODD is the only real micro-credentials that we created so far. Okay? Now I know STE you are working on something. You all get to eat and I don't, you know. Anyway, the OTT, STE, you guys were working on some professional training, on-demand industrial training. Did that happen? Happen? Not happen? Not yet. But more than a year ago. Happen this year.
Coming soon.
No, they were working on something. Okay, they're working on something, and I heard of that last year. And until now, I still have not seen anything. So, okay, good. Keep up the good work. No problem. Okay, your CEFR doesn't count because it's actually a legitimate cost by itself. So only our OTT is the standalone MC that we have right now. Okay. Now, for the amount of effort, Sean would know, because Sean is involved as well in the OTT. It's a lot of work on our end to create the curriculum, to develop the curriculum, because we had to develop from scratch, one piece of paper. That is the reason why WOU chose the unbundled approach, because it's already there. Okay? And now every other university is also trying to follow what we are doing. Anybody here knows what is the fees that we charge for the unbundled MC?
4,500. Is it 4,500?
Cannot be so cheap.
Now it's so cheap, it's 1,000 and something costs
105.
3,000. 3,000.
I mean, Mr. Steven can answer the question if he knows. So, come on. Anybody here knows?
3,000.
Don't worry about the actual amount, because okay, let me turn it this way. The fees that we charge for our MCs, did we charge them at a premium or at a discount? Premium. No discount. Premium, 10%. Okay, does it increase now? Okay, what? Okay, 10%. We had our own reasons. Okay, and if you had looked at MCs out there, many of the other universities, they charge the fees based on an independent MC offering. They don't look at the regular course fees and charge a certain amount. They have a fixed amount that they charge, and it's higher for many universities. But apart from being higher, they've also done what Sofan asked just now. They've also included in that MC recognition from other institutions and other bodies as well. So they've added this, so it has become a little bit more expensive. Which is also the reasons why there are not many takers out there for MCs. We could be one of the better ones. Our MC numbers are very good. Okay, but that's because they took our MC for a different purpose, isn't it? They want to come and join back into our programs. So if you offer MC in its traditional sense, in its actual purpose of MCs, which is only for skill-based improvement, so skill improvement, most people are not going for it. Unless of course you give it at a very, very hefty discount. Most people will not go for it. Okay? Alright, let's just continue. Is there anything else that I want to add here? Terms that you will see later as well, stackable, because you stack it to a qualification. Okay, another thing. Again, for QA to know as well. Whatever we do in APEL always falls back on some form of internal policy. Like APEL-A is still tied to admission policy. APEL-C, to a certain extent, tied to our credit transfer policy. Okay? No choice. APEL-C, you have two instruments, right? Challenge test and portfolio. Challenge test must follow our exam policy, and portfolio must follow our credit transfer policy. Whether we follow through or not, that's a separate issue. Okay? But we've been around for 8 years, but that does not mean that we have no room for improvement. A lot of things we can continue to improve. So APEL and here micro-credential. Again, you have to, number one, unaccredited MCs are own courses. So that will fall under credit transfer policy. Credit transfer with grades, because they are own courses. Okay? And you are assured of its content. I mean, credit transfer needs 80% matching, right? With minimum grade C. The minimum grade C will still apply, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot have your students doing micro-credentials and come and say, I apply for APEL-M, I transfer everything. The credit transfer policy still applies. Minimum grade C. Anything lower, sorry, we cannot transfer. But that also means that anything lower than C, you will not hit the, I will say shortly, the 50% requirement. Okay? So it's not so straightforward. I know, and I was having a conversation with Irma just now. We are happily selling MCs everywhere. We are happily selling MCs. APEL-M come very easy and all that. But the reality is different. Okay? There are a lot of other things that for cars to consider. Yeah. Anyway. This is from the GGP itself. This is provided by MQA. This took whatever MQA gave. And this is an infographic created by MQA, will tells you the entire GGP for micro-credentials. The definition of MC, what is it? How it's delivered? A lot of people think it can only be delivered online, cannot be done physical. We know it can be done physical, we know it can be done blended, it can be done fully online. Okay? The providers can be either universities or HETs, higher education providers, or any other entity. Okay, any other entity. That means WA Academy becomes the company, the Gambang Melian. Gambang Melian, right? Okay, Gambang Melian is a company by itself. Okay, so anything they offer becomes a stand-alone micro-credential. Anything that SCHS offers becomes an unbundled micro-credential. Okay, so Gambang Melian is considered an external entity. It is not external really, but it's not considered an higher education provider, HEP. Okay, so they offer SAMC. Yeah. You are given either digital certification, digital badges, look, it says paper certification. So there's nothing wrong in giving a paper certificate of completion. But like I said earlier, it should be supported with some sort of digital badge. Okay. Okay, that's wrong. Please download. MK is very good, very open. Everything is online. Download and read. Download and read. Okay. The more important things are already expected, reworded. It's inside here. But download grade to get the entire picture. I mean, if you want to be experts in that field, the GGP is the one way to go. Okay, all the GGPs available. Okay, the challenge. Okay, this infographic was also given by Mercury, but I've also created something that's more relevant for us. This means, let's just say you want to apply for APEL-M in institution A. Okay? So what you have done is you have done 2 courses unbundled in institution A. Okay? And then you have done another 2 courses very similar to the courses available in institution A, in institution B. So you have how many academic institutions here? 2 academic institutions. The institution that you intend to go and do your degree, where you have done 2 micro-credentials, and then you went to USM and did another 2 micro-credentials there, but you are smart. You have actually looked at the program structure in WOU, you saw the courses available, then you went there and did some of the courses available here and there. Okay? And then you go to Gamma Mulian, and they offer standalone micro-credentials. So you do another 2 courses at Gamma Mulian. Okay? So within university, within WOU, credit transfer. Outside of WOU, another university is also credit transfer. Okay? But with no grades. Thank you. No grades. From USM, you can transfer the credit. Unfortunately, you cannot transfer the grade. Then comes the standalone. Standalone cannot go through credit transfer, because credit transfer is for formal qualification. So for standalone, you have to go through an APEL-C process. So your APEL-M, okay, in WOU or any institution, must have credit transfer and APEL-C embedded. Okay? Now for APEL-C, what do you transfer? Do you transfer grades? Coursera gives you grades or not? I mean Coursera. I've got any grades on Coursera? No, right? I mean most of the courses don't have, right? Use the quizzes and all that, that's separate, they have. But the course as a whole does not have grades. Okay? So there's no grades for you to transfer. So the only thing you can transfer is the credits. That's all. And that credit is after you go through the entire APEL-C process to ensure it's equivalent to your 3 credits. Then you can transfer. Okay? Now, the current situation we are in right now is HBA. Our own students doing our own micro-credential and later on applying for APEL-M with us. Sunday, no issue. Okay? But once HB2, AB, and another accredited provider, AP stands for accredited provider, okay, comes into the picture, then the entire process becomes very complex. Okay, and the center has to be prepared for that. Okay?
Our own student micro-credential, when they transfer, do we transfer with grade or without grade?
Our internal students, our own students will transfer with grades. Because it will affect their CGPA calculation.
Because SANC, when Gamma Mulians are designed to have the APEL-M standards, the best one is go for 40 hours.
Correct. That is the best. Ideally, we should do that. And I think many of the institutions are trying to do that. Most of the courses I've seen have actually indicated is the total hours, it's at 14 hours.
Is there a limit of credit that they can transfer from other institutions?
No. Wait, your question is how much of our credits can we award to them, is it? For SAMC, it's only 30%. For standalone, it's only 30% of our credits. Okay, so it has to be a combination of unbundled MC and standalone MCs.
more than 50%.
Correct. You can have it at 100%, 100% as well.
Standalone cannot be more than 50.
Okay, let me give you that clarification using this. HEP-A WOU, 100%. Okay, no limit, because you are our student. But if you come from HEP-B, 70%. You can only transfer 70%. So you go USM, you do all the MCs there under an unbundled format, and then you come here, we will only give you 70% of our 120 credit program. Only 70%. Why? Because MK requirement is at least 1 year must be spent in the awarding university. So the 30% must come from us. Okay? But if you are going for a stand-alone micro-credential, there is no accreditation, nothing, then only 30% maximum is allowed to be transferred. 70% you still have to do in WU. Okay? That's why what we are trying to promote in WU is, we just go for the first one. You just do it with us, and then continue with us. It's less of a problem for everybody. Because you cannot have somebody from there doing, from USM doing 100 credits, let's just say, and come here and expect us to give them 100. We cannot. We only give 70%. Okay? I have another 1 or 2 more slides later where I have shown this. Yes?
For government project, SAMC. Okay, so now I will try to cut it's unbundled one course of 3 credit to become 1 3 SAMC.
So the SAMC is equivalent to 1 course, proper course. Can be done?
Yes.
Can be done, no issue.
In this case,
And that would be a better approach, yes.
in this case, when you're talking about AP for Gambang, this is actually a standalone. So if the students start with AP with Gambang and they wanted to come to HEPA as Wawasan, do you apply the 30% or 100%?
It's still 30%. Because whatever they do is unaccredited. So it cannot be accepted as a whole. 30% means how many? It's 36 credits only. That's all you can transfer, 36 credits, which is 12 courses. Okay, the rest you have to do it here. So you calculate this rate for your master's, your undergraduate, then you will know what is actually more enticing for our students, our clients. And that's why I said, keeping them within the family is actually more enticing. Okay, less hassle for them, less hassle for us. When MK came up with this paper, and they actually looked at all permutations to ensure that people don't take advantage of it. It is to help, yes, but it's also the Q in MQA is for quality. It's their role to ensure that quality is adhered to.
So it's actually summarize what I answered just now. So it's actually quite advisable for the students point that they start with A and then they leave 30% to AP. And not the other way around, right?
Correct, exactly.
So
That makes more sense.
So the system know that every student that go to AP.
Well, it depends on program leads that are selling their respective program through private credential. This is a model that they should develop and should focus on. I mean, what Dr. Alexandra said is right. That is, you get them to do our own courses. Okay? Within us, do our own courses. And then you guide them to do standalone courses outside. Because you don't have to do this sequentially. You understand? You want to save time as well, right? You don't have to do it sequentially. You don't have to say, let's finish the 70% in WU first, and then do the 30%. You can do it concurrently. Okay, so you save time a bit. But same time also there are limits. And I have a slide that shows you where the limits are. Okay, there are limits. Okay, but that is the better approach. But that means the PLs would have to come up with a model and sell this to your students. Then you can talk about saving time and all that. Yeah.
One more question. How if from USF, student transfers to WU, how many percent of those courses, MC courses can be transferred to?
70%.
70%. Okay. How do we look at it? We look at it by course and by syllabus?
Yeah, because it's a credit transfer process, so it's by course. And remember what we do in credit transfer right now in WOU? We can also take 2 courses and match it against one, same.
It comes with the grade.
From USM, it doesn't come with grades. Credit transfer for any university, we cannot transfer any grades. It's only for what is the correct word? Inter-institutional or intra-institutional? Intra is right, or intra-institutional? Okay, your question.
You mentioned about duration of at least 1 year for awarding institution, and then you also mentioned about percentage for the credits, the maximum transferable. Which one comes first if they are actually equal?
Depending on which model you would
Let's
be
say the
adopting.
complex model, the AP model.
The AP model.
I mean, we don't have problem with the HEP one.
Okay, it's either the AP model, because AP model is only 30%. So you transfer 30%, then 70% you're gonna have to do it here. So that's like 2-3
The
years.
1 year is insignificant.
Yeah, it's insignificant actually. The 1 year is just indicative because you could do it in 2 terms. That is less than 1.
So how about the other way around? We start with the A.
Or you start with the
A now.
A.
And then we go to the AP.
Start with A, go to AP.
And then we have 30% and 1 year, where it comes to lopsided. So which one do you actually give the higher consideration here?
Because the issue would always be at the end of the day your CGPA that you would want to get. So whatever you do in HGPA gives you CGPA. Whatever you do anywhere else doesn't give you the CGPA. So you should focus on the institution. Because that will give you that end reward, which is your CGPA.
In that case, we are talking about 1 year at least.
At least. Because bear in mind that the CGPA is important for the students, it's important when they want to further their studies. Especially undergrad to postgrad, there's a CGPA requirement. So that's important as well. Yes.
No, at the moment what we are doing in APEL.M is just we are only concentrating our internal students.
Yes, our internal
So
students.
we do not see the gray areas from HEP and also.
It will come, but just not so soon. They're not so soon.
So in this case, every APEL.M, if student follow this path, will come with APEL.C as well.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
So we have to do SSL.
It's two assessments actually. It's just that the APEL.C assessment will happen outside. Okay, and you just need to key in depending on how the setup is, you just have to key in inside the final results, that's all.
So it won't be the same SSL as the APEL.M.
APEL.M assessment is done at the program level. APEL.C assessment is done by the course level. So you will actually have more than one team to do the assessment. It's what we have prepared here is for us to tackle our problem right now. The gray area is the problem to come. Don't worry about that at the moment. What we expected from us right now. That's what we want to focus on. Okay, so a lot of advice here that I put is based on what we will face at the moment, the situation that we are. Okay. Only a few programs that are already done, SEMBA already done. Okay, there are already few applicants anyway for SEMBA. Apart from the 2 pilot candidates, we already have a few other applicants for already.
30 coming in, they have completed 50%.
Oh, okay.
For January.
Okay, which also reminds me, and maybe I should share that here. It's a question that someone asked about a month back. I gave an answer. Okay, somebody else gave a different answer. Then I showed what the GGP actually says. Every course in your program can be turned into a micro-credential. Every course, except thesis. Except thesis dissertation. Even your final project can be an MC. Every course. Which means APEL.M 50% is just minimum. People can come in with 100%. Technically, the 2 pilot candidates that we have for SEMBA is 100%. It's not 50%. It's 100% transferred into APEL-M, using APEL-M into syllabus. It's 100%, both of them. Okay, both of them, 100%. So 100% is alright. Internship can also be as an MC. Teaching practicum can also be as an MC. Because the delivery is insignificant. It doesn't matter how you deliver because it's delivered the exact same way. But only thesis cannot. But imagine if thesis is allowed. Somebody spends 6 months doing thesis and come to you and say, I've done my thesis right now. APEL-M, can you give me a PhD? 6 months alone. Okay, and that's what they have PhD by publication for that purpose. Yes?
Teaching practical or all these projects, dissertation, they are prerequisites. How do you overcome this using MC?
That's an institutional policy. The institution would have to decide how do you want to do it. Whether you want to impose a prerequisite or you don't want to impose a prerequisite. If you have already indicated that there is a prerequisite and you expect them to follow the prerequisite, then you're bound to follow the prerequisite as it is. That also means whether the course should be a micro-credential or not, that's a decision that you have to make. Okay, before. So, point is, don't throw all your courses as micro-credentials. Be selective, be smart. Some schools have done that. 50% means this is the 50%. This is all. Okay? I mean, you have to give the APEL Center some time because they're also submitting new applications and whatnot. But for business, okay, done deal. Okay? They now can accept MC APEL-M for any level, level 4, level 6, level 7, and level 8. Okay? All level for business. Okay, intact right now. So SPA is lucky. So that means that if anybody has reached that 50%, you can start processing now. Proactively, ladies and gentlemen, contact the students and say that you have reached the stage, we think you should start this process proactively. Don't wait for them to come and knock on your door. Okay, but that's for SBA. For the rest, you would have to wait because we just completed the education and then it's engineering pending. We just completed education, so it's fine. Engineering and then computing on the way. Yes.
Education okay?
Not yet lah. Belum sampai lagi. Eternally finished. Eternally finished. Okay. But it should be all right because they will fall back on the original submission to see the process flow that we have. And we have not run away from that process flow anyway. So it should not take too long. Okay. I decided to start with MC because I know having conversations with people, a lot of them still uncertain of what MC is all about. Especially when I talk to people from outside WOU. I mean, you yourself heard that day. Okay, the number of issues raised with MC. People really didn't know. You know, when you sit in that situation, I don't know how they felt. Sean didn't attend last week. I didn't see him.
Yeah.
Oh, you forgot about it. Next one is tomorrow, eh?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, I don't know how they felt, Sofan and Parimala, but I felt very proud that we know more than them. Yeah, we know more than them.
They're asking something like, what is this, what is that? I was shocking like what actually.
I mean, you don't have a choice because they're not into it. Somebody said something 2 days ago over lunch, and I want to say that here. You have to, this person is not even an academic. She said, you have to embrace ODL. Only when you embrace ODL, you'll understand the significance of all this. Okay. ODL must be in your blood. ODL is in my blood, but it doesn't have to be in your blood, but embrace ODL. Accept it. Okay, accept it as a norm. Okay, let's continue. Okay. I will only touch this certain aspect, not all, because we have already discussed this over and over again So pretty much you know why you need micro-credentials. For lifelong learning, as an alternative path, an alternative way to get skill sets, an alternative way to get an academic qualification is to give access to everybody. It's stackable so that you can collect and get an academic qualification if you want. And of course, is to strengthen the recognition of non-formal learning for Malaysia.
Want drink?
No, it's okay. It's I think our break will come for lunch.
Your coffee anything?
11:30.
11:30. All right. Anyway, let's just continue. A good MC should have these things. Okay. Number one, outcome based. What did I say earlier? I said if you look at all the MCs out there available, even if it's not called an MC, they all have objectives written down. They all have learning outcomes written down because that is good practice. Okay, so MC should be outcome based. Now, okay, let me ask education, School of Education. Are there any courses in SCHS that you think should not be an MC? Don't talk about practical and all that, just courses in general that you think shouldn't be an MC. That they should not take under MC, that they should go through the formal process and all that.
Malaysian study.
I say SCHS, Malaysian Studies, CFS. Psychology courses. They offer. Why did I ask this question? Because MC is supposed to serve a purpose. It's designed for a specific purpose. The content is to serve a specific purpose. So that means you don't pick any course you want and turn it into an MC. Okay, let me ask anyway. When you guys created your BDBS, we talk about BDBS, micro-credentials, what were the courses that you selected and what was the rationale behind those courses?
It's our first year courses basically because it's run in a face-to-face form. So in order to capture, our considerations are more towards marketing and sales number perspective and not really academic matters. We cover the first year because we want to recruit more students. Even all those students who prefer ODR courses can come to our group. That's the main question.
Okay. Now bear in mind, guys, Digit's model is always a front load model. Okay, so the courses, he already said the first year courses, and those are front loaded courses, means those are skill based courses. So that's one rationale for selection of micro-credential. It's skill based. So you target people who want to get a qualification, but you also target people who want a specific skill set. The design of a proper micro-credential is based on this. Okay, there must be a specific role that MC must play. Okay, so outcome-based here does not mean learning outcomes. It means it must serve a very specific purpose. Okay, personalized. You go back to this slide. So it should be about attitudes, building attitudes. It's about skill set. It's about enhancing knowledge. Okay, it should be any one of this. Okay, it should fit the interests of people. So that's why Coursera has a lot of personal development courses, language courses. Does Coursera have flower arrangement? I'm asking curious, I do not know. Flower arrangement Coursera.
Other courses have learning a language,
Learning language, yeah.
playing piano. And
Okay, so music it has. So music falls under interests. It's not needs. It's interest, isn't it? Okay. No, this is Farah. Where are you? No, which market? Okay, anyway. So number 3, on demand, again going back to the digit model that just now, also has that element. The on-demand industry necessary courses designed as micro-credentials. Secure and shareable, this is 2 things. You have printed certs, but you also want to make sure that you have digital badges, okay, blockchain enhanced digital badges, which is secure, and you can actually cross-check the we are not there yet, right? We are not there yet, I know, but at least there's something there to support the legitimacy of the digital badge that you have received. And shareable, and go back to Wen again. Okay, every time she gets a certificate, she'll share on LinkedIn. Okay, Wen again, she'll share on LinkedIn. But that is the whole idea behind these things. It was designed for that purpose so that you share with everybody what you have done. And people can see this can be done this way. They will also go and try to do the same thing. That's the whole idea. Okay? And LinkedIn is the best place. Everybody shares there more than anywhere else. You share on Facebook, okay, meaningless because LinkedIn are all filled with professionals. They appreciate when you have acquired a new skill. On Facebook, wow, different message. You're showing off. But in LinkedIn, people understand. Yeah.
I really, when I share some really working information in the LinkedIn, there is students, now they are studying, because of that, they come to understand and they try to convert it to study. And this is what I found.
That's what we want. Okay? Good. Transparent, I have listed all the things that is expected in micro-credential. Objectives and whatnot. Assessment, method, delivery, all that should be given. And of course for us, because MK has given a template. For us, very easy, Malaysia is very good. MK has given a template. You just have to fill out the blanks in the template. Every information is there. Assessment, how is the grading done, the learning outcomes, okay? Instructors' names are not given, but all other informations are given in that 2-page, okay? 2-page document that you fill out for every micro-credential that QA has to submit to MQA, because MK has his own micro-credential website. And it has to be there. Do they have space now? Still don't have space. Because some of the ones that we have submitted, they cannot display because they don't have space anymore. Okay? By right, it's lunch, Okay, never mind. We'll continue a little bit more. We'll start with APEL.M a little bit and then we'll go for lunch. I haven't had breakfast, so I'm going to have breakfast and lunch later. Now let's start with the APEL.M policy. No. I'm not cabinet. No, I don't know whether you guys remember or not, but she was serving cabinet coffee both days. But we understand. Okay, let's continue. APEL.M policy. Very straightforward. If you look at APEL-A and see, it's a lot of information. But APEL-M is very, very straightforward. Number 1, 50%. Okay? You must have accumulated at least 50% of MCs relevant to that program. And how is this 50% counted? It's counted based on the total credit value of the program itself. So 120 means 60 lah. But unfortunately, you cannot include MPU. So this is the question that I'm asking MK. I've asked MK, they have not given an answer yet. You allow MPUs to be offered under MC. MPUs can be offered under MC. But when it comes to APEL-M, you cannot include. So I'm telling my current team, we don't have to offer an SMC. What's the point? because it doesn't serve the purpose. When the students reach this stage, technically they have to redo their MPU, even if they've done under MCs. Okay? So what is the point of CFS offering MCs? For MPU courses. University courses is fine. For MPU courses, it makes no sense. So MKM has to relook at this. You don't send us a circular that says MPU is allowed, and then a GTP that says we will not include. They're contradicting each other themselves. Okay? Of course, to be fair, the panel is one panel. The decision MKM makes is a separate group of people. Okay, but you know, it's like what happens in WU also, right? One department doesn't talk to another department, so end up doing things that's contradictory. It also happens here. It also happens there. Okay, actually, it's not that great. They have made a lot of mistakes as well. We know, we have seen, we have reminded them of the mistakes that they have made. But be fair, they are only human beings. Okay, so number one is a 50%. Cannot, why? I should have brought my own. I have my own. Okay, but anyway, the 50% requirement, and number two, the age requirement. I have a slide to show you the age requirement. Now, when it comes to the age requirement has to follow the APEL-M process. Now, APEL-M is actually a combination of A and C. Whether we like it or not, APEL-M is a combination of A and C. If I were to ask you APEL-Q is also a combination of A and C. APEL-Q is a combination of A and C. It's for admission, it's also a credit transfer process. Okay, which follows an APEL-C process, right? Portfolio, challenge tests, and whatnot. But anyway, APEL-Q is far more difficult.
APEL-Q is only applicable once they come. We don't allow them to access the form.
You see, the application of APEL-Q is to admit you into a program. So that's the A component. But the processing of APEL-Q follows the APEL-C policy.
I thought you need to be able, you must be an accepted student first before you can apply for it.
That is true. Okay, the processing of the candidates follows the APEL-C policy. But the thing is that they don't need to be a student first before they can submit. I think, my friend, you are wrong. You have to apply to be a student first before you can start the APEL-Q process. It works that way. So you have to admit yourself first, and only then they will start the APEL-Q process.
To be admitted, if you don't have your certifications, you have to go through A, right?
No, it doesn't work like that, okay? Once you, talk about APEL-Q, once you're admitted into the program, into the university, you have to go through an APEL-A process to do all the things, transfer your experience using APEL-C, and if you fail, you're out. That means you have to leave the APEL-Q track and join the regular track, because you still have to meet all the necessary academic qualifications. If you want to do an APEL-Q for a degree, for example, your entry requirement must be regular entry, because APEL-Q is only to shorten. It's not about entry, it's only to shorten. So you still come in through the regular mode, but your processing follows a combination of APEL-A and APEL-C policies. Okay, so go back to what did I say just now? Okay. Minimum age requirement, and there is a minimum graduation age as well. This is the problem with APEL-M has two. To enter, there's one age requirement. To exit, there's another age requirement. The only allowance given to the university is you can play around with the graduation age. You cannot play around with the entrance, the admission age. You still have no choice but to be 30 years if you are coming in for masters, 35 for doctorate, 21 for undergraduate degree, 20 for diploma. You cannot run away from that age of entry. But exit, if you can finish faster, only standard can say, okay, we allow you to graduate. Okay? WA standard very good. If the school boss says, okay, standard will, okay. Standard will scold, make a lot of noise, but will approve. Okay? Yes. I mean, look, that's reality. Will approve. Why? Because we never want to disadvantage the students. As that's the whole philosophy at the university. Anyway, okay. Let's just look at tables. Okay. Now, this is the policy. This is the admission requirement. For admission, you wouldn't worry about the graduation, right? You only focus on 50% and age of entry. Okay, so you have, this is why we advise people, be very careful when you sell your MCs, especially your target group. Especially if you're targeting people who are very young. Because they still need to wait quite a number of years before they hit the minimum age requirement. There are no two ways about it, the age of entry. That you cannot manipulate, that you cannot forego. You don't have a choice, it has to hit that age, 20, 21, 30, 35. Okay, 20, 21, 30, 35. Okay? Alright? Okay? Sure. Dengan ayam kat rumah ke apa? Ayam ke ayam? Okay. Okay, like I said earlier about SBA, now that SBA, okay, not SBA alone, is SBA, MBA, CM, MBA, APEL, and PDBS. All of them fall under the same category. All of them have APEL-M because they all fall under the business NEC. So they all have APEL-M. So they don't have to worry. Okay, they don't have to worry about 50% because once they submit the application, we can immediately process. So they can do the balance of the 50% in the coming semester easily. It's just the rest have no choice because we have not gotten that approval yet. So your 50% may become 60% or 70% before you can actually enroll in the program under APEL. Yeah? Now, this is the age requirement. I've already calculated because GGP does not have for doctorate. But there is a rationale behind the numbers. Yeah? So, minimum age at entry is 19 certificate, diploma 20, 21, 30, 35. I already mentioned these numbers 20, 21, 30, 35. Now, the age of graduation is actually the age of entry plus the minimum duration of a program. Not minimum duration of the program part-time, minimum duration of the program full-time, but minimum duration of the program throughout. You have full-time and part-time, right? And part-time has a maximum duration. Full-time also has its own maximum duration. But as a whole, there is one minimum and one maximum. The minimum of full-time and the maximum of part-time. We use the minimum of the full-time as the minimum duration of the program. So it's diploma 2 years minimum, bachelor's degree is 3 years minimum, master's is actually 1 year minimum full-time, and a doctorate is 3 years minimum. Okay, so age of graduation, what does that mean? It means the year that you graduate, that year you should be 38, not that you are 38. Your birthday could be 30th of December. Our convo is November, last weekend of November. Okay, so you have not hit 30, but we follow the year of graduation. Just like entry, minimum age entry is a year of admission. It's not a birth date, it's just a year of admission. You should be 35 that year, and as graduation, 38 that year. Okay? Yo. 50% plus age. Okay, 50% plus age. That's why I don't encourage when you try to tackle the too young ones. Okay, so it will be difficult, but look, you guys also sometimes complain, right? That RCs sometimes just bringing any student that they want. And then you have to deal with the students because, especially when the students are not very good. Because for RCs, it's all about numbers. For you, it's about ensuring they have a good learning experience. Okay?